All right, Friday afternoon, we're live. We're competing a little bit with a board of trustees meeting. Are any of you guys watching that? Was anybody checking that out today? Seeing what was going on there? Not nearly as exciting as the last board of trustees meeting, but it's fun nonetheless. There's some good stadium stuff that's going on over there. Want to talk about that a little bit today. Want to chat about whatever you guys want to do. Last week, I think I asked you guys to run this show, and then I just ranted for like an hour on how we were going to beat LSU. We talked a little recruiting, but I think I just talked crap about beating LSU the whole day. And so, listen, we don't have to do that this week. We know what's coming on Saturday. I mean, we knew what was coming last week too. Today might be a little more chill. We'll talk a little stadium. Alfred gave some updates today, and she chatted with some folks at FSU last night about some of this stuff. Stadium's a hot button topic, I feel like. Stadium's something that people are very divided on. Reducing seats, making it more luxury, doing this, that, and the other. So people are not, I'd say it's very divided. I've got a take on it. I don't know what you guys' takes are on the stadium. Happy to hear them. Happy to see why you agree, disagree, love, hate, whatever is going to go on with Doak Campbell Stadium. I want to talk a little recruiting. I want to talk a little bit about what we want to see this weekend. Talk about some of the games that are happening this weekend, not only ours. I love the lineup this weekend. I love what we've got. I think there's a great game in every single time slot. And I'm not even counting ours as the late game. I think the late game, Alabama-Texas game is going to be a ton of fun. Obviously, I'll be tuned into ours, but I tune into multiple things. So I'm excited for it. Exciting weekend. A lot going on. And you know, it's hard to not already. We did a video on this week. It's hard to not already look ahead to Clemson. It's hard to not already be thinking about that. It's hard to not already, people are like, oh, you got to take it one game at a time. Well, I don't have to take it one game at a time. Nothing I'm going to do or not do or talk about or this and the other is going to impact how we play against Southern Miss or Boston College, who is also really, really, really good. Not good. I'm just not worried about that. Now, I want the team focused on Southern Miss, and then I want the team focused on Boston College. But people that tell me, I was tweeting about Clemson, somebody said, hey, you got to focus on Southern Miss. And I was like, no, I don't. I do not have to focus on Southern Miss one bit. I'm going to watch. I'm going to preview it. I'm going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. Scoot my chair over here. Sorry. Get more lined up. But I don't have to focus on them. That's a silly thing to tell a guy who sits in a jail cell and talks about football. We have this week. We have ordered. We finally ordered the signs that'll go back up on the wall. This studio was a work in progress, and so I hope you guys are happy with the signs that we got, what we picked out, how it looks, how it all comes together. There's got some lighting coming for the back. I still think this is a better experience than what we had inside the house. But yeah, you guys, somebody comments every single video, hey, it looks like you're in a jail cell. That's why we just roll B-roll the whole time, Harlan. I'm tired of people saying I look like I'm in a jail cell. I made a video this week to put on Twitter, and I just put a Seminole logo like right here, just so nobody can give me a hard time. All right, what are we getting after? Hit the like button. My guy Gator Kirk in here. Nobody else wants to comment today. There we go. We got some. Listen, I'd rather be in this jail cell than Leon County or Hillsborough County or one of those. So, game day eve for Southern Miss. I don't love the shorter weeks. I mean, I'm not nervous about it at all. I just don't love the short weeks. Mostly just because you turn around and you're like, oh crap, it is literally game day week or game day eve. Sorry. So, all right, now we got some comments coming in. Now we got some people. We awake yet? We're starting a little bit late. We usually go 11. I wanted to watch that board of trustees meeting. It might even still be going on. But at this point, we just had to get started. We had to kind of get this thing rolling. I can't be At some point, I got to go back and see my kids today. So here we are. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out. Who's going to the game tomorrow? Who is up in Tallahassee? Who's hanging out? Harlan, you going to the game tomorrow? Harlan's not going. Harlan's got a baby. He gets a pass. Harlan brought his baby out to the tailgate, so he's a winner. Oh, man. We should upload that tailgate video to this. I don't know if you can go pull that. It's unlisted on YouTube right now, or it's obviously on my Twitter. You can pull it from there, too. Man, we had a good time at the tailgate. My guy Casey's driving in from Atlanta. Short weeks are tough. Okay, let's talk a little bit. Let me tweet this video out. You guys hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all those things. Super chat, like all the things that you guys can think of. And then we'll get going. Stadium, recruiting, game day eve. All right. We good? Everybody set? Ready to go? What do we want to talk about first? Do we want to do recruiting first? Do we want to do stadium stuff first? Do we want to do game stuff first? Do we want to talk about the LSU? I'm kind of over LSU. Okay, I want to say. Okay, I lied. I want to say one more thing about LSU. I'm a big liar. My favorite thing. We'll do stadium first. But I do want to say this real quick. My favorite thing about this LSU game is I was so sure, as right as we nailed our prediction, as right as we crushed that, I could have never predicted that the national media would still. So last year when we beat LSU, it was, oh, you were lucky. Mason Smith was out. They should have. They were this close because they almost, it took you the blocked field goal or extra point, whatever. LSU fumbled 2 punts. It was Brian Kelly's first game. All that stuff, right? I was sure. I was so sure. And I was wrong about this. I'm wearing it. I'll own it. I was so sure. But tell me you didn't think this was coming too. Like, don't make this all about me. You guys thought this same thing. I was so confident that when we beat LSU, the narrative would go right back to, well, Mason Smith didn't play. That running back was out. We had some trouble at cornerback. We had some we had some trouble in the secondary. We had some transfers. It's still early in the Brian Kelly tenure. You got Florida State in their 4th year with Norvell, Brian Kelly in his 2nd. I thought all those excuses would still come out. I thought all of that would still be said by LSU fans, by SEC fans, by rivals, of course, by the national media. But that's not what anyone is saying. Florida State took an absolute jackhammer to LSU. And people are talking higher about LSU right now than they were before the game. Not LSU fans, but the national media. The narrative did not switch. I thought for sure that would happen. I thought for sure that the narrative would switch and they would say LSU was overrated. LSU wasn't very good. They're just an okay team. Now, national folks are doubling down. Instead, national folks are doubling down on LSU and saying, no, this team's still really, really good. And they're taking their FSU praise a bit higher. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think there was a chance of that. National guys are saying, no, Florida State can compete with anybody in this country. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, doesn't matter. Michigan, USC, Florida State's one of those teams. I did not see it coming. Now, I thought that might come if we beat Clemson. I thought that might come if we went 4-0 to start the year. But I didn't know that after week 1, that narrative around LSU would stay the same, and the narrative around Florida State would get even bigger. Just nuts. It was good to see that, though. It's good to see Florida State back. Everyone has said that and agreed on that. Florida State is back. Now, they have to go out and perform, but it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back at the center of college football. It's nice to be back in the national relevance. If Clemson can find a way to win their next 2 games, maybe you still get game day. Kind of disappointed that they lost to Duke, and that might cost you getting game day, but just a fun time. All right, on the stadium stuff. Listen, people are very split, but the overall idea for the stadium here is they're going to reduce capacity. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but like that's what's going to happen. You're just going to have that happen. Right now, I mean, Alfred was in there and he was talking about how the width of the stadium, your knees are in people's backs. The width of the aisles are not up to the standard in stadiums. The seats are still the old metal bleachers. I know some of you guys love the old side. That's just, you've seen with attendance, not just at Florida State, but just everywhere, teams are having to accommodate for how good the at-home game watching experience has been. And everybody's passionate and everybody has an opinion on social media about all of this, and they're not going to games. Florida State officially sold out 1 game last year. It was a Boston College game. Clemson returned some tickets, so that one didn't sell out. It was close. It was really close. And then Florida was really, really close as well. And so everyone says, oh, well, I can't believe they would reduce seating. All these people on Twitter and people on social media. And I can't believe they would lower the attendance at Doak. We're not selling out games, guys. And most people aren't. I mean, the Gators stink right now, but they're not either. People enjoy watching at home more than they enjoy having knees in their back and having to travel 4+ hours for the game and a non-luxury experience. And so if you can reduce the stadium size, not in a drastic amount, it's not going down to an NFL 50,000 or anything like that. But if you can reduce that stadium size and increase the luxury experience, you will eventually increase attendance. Everybody likes to point to the Florida and the Clemson and the Miami game. Yeah, those are always going to sell out or be very close to it. But what about when you play Duquesne? What about when you play North Alabama? What about when you play this weekend, Southern Miss? I just don't understand the... I understand the... oh, it's always been this way, so we should keep it this way. And, Doak needs to be as loud as physically possible. And you got to have 84,000 people there or 79,000, whatever, or it's just not the same. And I get that. I truly do. But the games that happens in don't necessarily make up for the games where that's not happening, right? You guys, and not you guys, I know, all 136, 143 people now that are in here, you guys go to every game without fail. You're there 3 hours early, you stay 3 hours late and sing the hymn the whole time. But to everybody that's not watching this live, we're not going to enough games. We're just not. I mean, that's just what it is. And I know some of you are season ticket holders. Some of you go up to every single game. Some of you live close to the area. Some of you, it's feasible for you to do that. Florida State has 55% of its fans traveling over 3.5 hours to the game every week. That's number 1 in the country. The Gators are down around 20% just because they're so much closer to Jacksonville and so much closer to Orlando and so much closer to Tampa. Tallahassee is 3.5 hours in every direction for a major city. Atlanta, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, obviously farther from Miami. And people just aren't making the drive. Now, you make the drive for the big ones. Everyone's going to be there for Florida. Everyone's going to be there for Miami. Everyone's going to be there for Clemson. Looks like Virginia, Texas sell out. You want to know why that's sold out? Because we're going to be 4-0 coming back to that game. And we played 3 games away from it to start the year. But Southern Miss ain't a sellout. I'd be surprised if I think we're going to be 10, 11, and 0. But I don't know that Northern Alabama is going to be a sellout. people aren't going to the games enough. And so I saw Erica say in the chat, the experience of watching at home is just too good, right? I mean, there's a huge reason that people aren't going up for these games. And it's because watching at home is too good. It's not just the 3-hour game. It's the 8-hour round trip that you have to drive that goes along with it. Because people just don't live close enough to the stadium. And it's just not necessarily a luxury experience. You're sitting there with people's knees in your backs and everything else. Pricing the average fan out of attendance, especially when you can watch in the condition. Yeah, I don't think it is pricing the average fan out. There will still be plenty. I know that's something that's said a lot. There are going to still be a ton, thousands and thousands and thousands of reasonable seats available in Doak Campbell Stadium. Like everyone's ticket, to get into the Southern Miss game this weekend. I haven't even looked at my tickets. I can real quick while we're talking. To get in the Southern Miss game, I believe the face value is typically around $30. To get into like the Florida or Miami game, it's typically around $100. I can look real quick to tell you exactly what they are this weekend. But let me pull this up while we're talking. Here we go. Print at home tickets. Southern Miss. But it will always be the case where you can get in for an affordable price. All right. So yeah, my face value, $35 for Southern Miss. I bet it's $100, $125 for let's do Miami. That's probably the biggest one, right? Let's see. The Miami game is dang it, you got to hit the right button, TJ, for that to work. Miami game is $130. I don't have season tickets are all the same, so it doesn't even matter. $130 for the Miami game, $35 to get into Southern Miss. There will still be thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of affordable tickets. And if it takes your Southern Miss ticket from $35 to $50, and it takes your Miami ticket from $135 to $165 or whatever, those are not official numbers. It's just, I don't think that that's a massive deal. Obviously, I got a text from my buddy Brent. Obviously, that doesn't even factor in the fact of hotels and everything else that's ridiculous and just really makes the experience pretty tough. But I disagree with that. It's pricing the average fan out. I just don't think that's the case. I expect my season tickets to go up from whatever that is for the year, $260, $300 to maybe $400. And I believe the boosters let you make payments over the whole year. Like, I don't even think you have to. And so if my tickets go up $100, and that is over a year's ticket, so I'm paying what, $8 more a month to watch FSU? I don't know that I'm complaining that much. I don't know that I'm. So I get it. There's a lot of, I wouldn't even call them cons, but there's a lot of reasons that people don't want to increase or decrease the size. There's a lot of reasons that people want to avoid that, but I just don't know how much that holds up. I don't think Doak's going to be way quieter. I don't think that all of a sudden we lose some kind of home field advantage or anything like that. The Swamp, they're doing the same thing to the Swamp. And their fans are upset about it too. I get it 100%. Alfred talked today. Attendance in the NFL is down too. Like, this isn't just a Tallahassee problem. This isn't just a Gainesville problem. This isn't just this is happening everywhere. Tennessee reduced the size of their stadium. But at the end of the day, I think you have to. I understand where people are like, oh, you're pricing people out. First of all, I don't think you are pricing people out. But second of all, I think you have to understand that this is the trend of how things are moving. people stop coming to games. Florida State has to give people a reason to come to the games. And unfortunately, and this isn't a shot at any of you guys again, because I know all of you guys are. I'm just kidding. I'm not going up this weekend. But you got to give fans a reason to go. And apparently it's just not enough anymore. I think it's probably a lot to do with these. It's a lot to do with our society. It's a lot to do with Twitter. It's a lot to do with just rapid information. But people don't like to go to games and not be able to be on their phone. They don't like to go to games and not be able to know what's going on every single second of every other game. And so I hear you. I'd love for Doak to have 100,000 people in it. I think that's a ton of fun. I get what you guys are saying about liking to be on your phone. I like that too. But at the end of the day, if you want to do that, stay home. I don't know. I'm not telling you to stay home. I want you to go to the games. I just think that this is going to be something, first of all, and we'll get to Shane in just a sec. First, you can leave it up there. First of all, this is the trend that all of college football is going toward. And it is going to be what's best for Florida State long term. And change sucks, but it's not just change for the sense of change. Alfred has been part of so many building projects with the Cowboys and others. He knows what he's doing. And this is going to be a change that's positive for Florida State, short term, near term, everything else. All right, go ahead, Arne.
Touchdown, Florida State! Touchdown, FSU!
I would prefer they make a Champions Club section like on the north end zone and then try to do something like the west side of the swamp. I do like using the theaters as away game destinations. I think they're, I just meant to text somebody on live and I said, okay, love, like an idiot. Oh, let's see here. Shane, thank you for the love. Thank you for the super chat. Prefer they make the Champions Club like this section on the north end zone. So I love the Champions Club. Again, it's impossible to, please everybody, but I love the Champions Club. But I agree with you. I hate the way it looks during games because nobody's out there. But at the same time, that is the experience you're trying to create for folks, and you're trying to get butts in seats. And at the end of the day, Florida State in general, Florida State athletics, we'll say this about the stadium and then we'll move on. Florida State in general, Florida State athletics, it's a business, right? And we are dealing with a lot of things in this business that, Alfred is trying. That's what an athletic director is. He's trying to make the most possible money that he can for a team that's in a conference that's $40 million behind its peers. And I get that. If people aren't going to games right now, then, and again, don't count the 2 games a year that everybody goes to. I get it. We're full on those. But if people aren't going to games, he's got to get people into games. He's got to get the revenue flowing and people into games. And for the diehards that want to see 100,000 people in a stadium or 90,000 people in a stadium or whatever number capacity we've ever been at, I get it. But that sounds good. But the problem is that's not happening. Right? It sounds good to say we just got to have everybody in the stadium. But we're not doing that. We're not getting people in the stadium. Listen, I don't think this roof thing is a real thing. Did Alfred talk about a roof today in the Did Alfred talk about a roof in the Board of Trustees meeting? Somebody let me know in the comments real quick, because I don't believe the roof is a real thing. I spoke with some people yesterday, and I don't think that that's a real thing. We play a bunch of night games, man. We got a couple of day games a year. I just don't think we need a roof. I think that was something that was, suggested, thought about back in 2012-ish. So what are we, an AD or 2 ago? That wasn't a real thing. And again, I spoke with somebody last night. It's fairly close. And we were talking about the roof, and they said, unlikely there. Sorry, I got distracted here. So, all right, is that all we want to talk about the stadium? We good with that? We all set? We're not doing a roof, guys. I don't think that's a real thing. You guys want me to talk about Wi-Fi? Look, I think a lot of you agree with me on this stuff. I think a lot of you guys are with me here. But I will turn y'all against me if you want to talk about Wi-Fi. I know you guys want the Wi-Fi. Do we want to talk about that or do we want to keep it positive? You guys let me know. Let me know in the comments real quick. Okay. We're not talking, nobody wants to talk about Wi-Fi. You guys don't want to know my take on Wi-Fi. I don't think anybody wants that. All right, let's give some love to Garnet and Gold. Are y'all going who's going to the game tomorrow? Verizon does sucks. You guys, okay, I'll talk about Wi-Fi. Let's talk about Garnet and Gold, and I'll tell you my Wi-Fi take. Oh, boy. Verizon does suck up there. GarnetandGold.com. Listen, if you're going to the game, you need to get your orders in at GarnetandGold.com. I will tell you, I don't think you can do pickup any longer. They don't always set time cutoffs. You might be able to, but if you do that, you may just want to go in and pick it up. Use NOSLAW, NOSLAW at GarnetandGold.com. Code doesn't work in store most of the time. Sometimes you'll catch the right person that'll do it for you, but your 17, 18-year-old college freshman that's up there has no clue what double fries no slaw is, and you're just going to confuse them if you say no slaw at the checkout. So they're going to, use the code online. If you use it in person, though, I'm always interested because sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, they let me use it. And some people are just like, yeah, they looked at me like I had 4 heads saying no slaw. So GarnetandGold.com. Hey, no trip on game day is complete. I order online every single time, but anytime I'm in Tallahassee, I go by Garnet and Gold. Something about looking in there in person. They've always got the games on. They've always got pregame on. Best spot in Tallahassee, GarnetandGold.com. Go check them out if you're going to the game tomorrow. If you're not, go order something so your stuff is in by the Clemson game. Okay, here's my Wi-Fi take. I won't go into real numbers, but Wi-Fi is incredibly expensive from an infrastructure standpoint. It's not necessarily very expensive from a year-to-year perspective. It's obviously way more expensive than like your home Wi-Fi, but it's very expensive from an infrastructure standpoint. It costs a crazy ton of money to be able to put in, and there is no immediate benefit to the program, university, school, team, players, staff of them putting in public Wi-Fi for you guys to scroll on your phones during the game. There is zero benefit. I'm sorry, so not zero. There's zero like direct benefit. I think you could say an indirect benefit would be that people like that and maybe more people come to the games if their Wi-Fi is working. But I'm going to give you some tough love here. If not being able to scroll on your phone is keeping you, listen, this is my favorite picture, by the way. Not to dox whoever's down there texting me, but this is the GOAT. If not being able to scroll on your phone is keeping you from watching this team in person, then just stay home. I get it. I like to troll as many as y'all do. But you shouldn't be trolling during the game anyway. You should wait till after because that can bite you in the butt. I think that Wi-Fi will eventually get installed. There are certain luxury areas that have it now anyway. Champions Club and others. But again, if you can't spend 3 hours not scrolling on your phone, then just stay home. And I don't mean that like as a like you're not wanted or I'm not trying to be a jerk. I sound like a jerk right now. But if that's what it comes down to, then I don't know what to tell you. I think that sometimes you got to enjoy the game, right? Do you guys scroll on your phones when you go to the movies? Maybe some of you do. Shane, back up.
Fire up the war chant and plant the spear. Nose wind, nose wind.
I think SEC membership would solve a lot of ills, especially if Clemson tugs along with us. Matchup, strength of schedule, and yeah, the bandwidth at Doak Campbell Stadium sucks. Thank you for the love, Shane. No, I agree. That's the other thing, too. We're operating at a deficit. We're working from behind right now, and I think Alfred's done a masterful job of getting us to compete at the highest level with that deficit. But I'm just telling you, there are more important things than fans being able to scroll on Twitter during the game. I'm just telling you. It cost... Y'all don't want to know what the cost is, but it would cost more than our recruiting budget is. Like, that's how, like, we don't just have that money just sitting around, laying around. If you're really, really wealthy, shoot me a message. I'll put you in touch with Alfred and you can pay for it. But first, sponsor the show. But second, you can pay for the Wi-Fi. But again, the cost is astronomical, and it's just not. I just don't think it's worth it right now. Again, it's the cost of a recruiting, but it's more. Top 5 class or Wi-Fi in Doak? Let's vote now. All right, I'm going to try and be nice for the rest of this time. I don't think I ever really do that, but I'm not calling anybody out. Listen, I tweet more than any of y'all. I get it. I'm on Discord all day. While you're scrolling, yeah, Eric is right. While y'all are scrolling your Twitter, hit the thumbs up button. Pay me that money. I'll turn on my hotspot for you at the games. Everybody get on Casey's hotspot, y'all. That's great. The Saudis can do, but where's that chicken farmer? They got any Delaware internet providers up there? All right. I don't have too good of a time on here. Man, Keon Coleman. Yeah, I saw a comment about him. Keon Coleman, my Lord. I called him wide receiver 1 the other day, and people are like, you're crazy. Marvin Harrison. I'm like, dude, is it really that crazy to say that wide receiver 2 is wide receiver 1? Like, am I really stepping out on that big of a limb? Am I really going against the social norms at that moment? Oh, man, how could you dare slide him from 2 to 1? I mean, I'll tell you, it looked better week 1. I mean, obviously, Keon's got a better quarterback throwing to him, but. All right, I'll stop getting on you guys about the stadium and Wi-Fi and stuff. What do we want to talk about next? What's next up? Southern Miss. Finally cut up the Southern Miss tape. Look at my guy. Florida State's a lot better than this team. All right. And I talked about in our preview kind of what we wanted to see. I can talk about a little bit of that today. I don't want to bore you guys, but I will say there is a national perception around Florida State right now, and it is ultra, ultra positive, and it is very, very good. And it is that Florida State's one of the best teams in the country, and that if the playoff was today, they'd probably be in it. I know that, well, I mean, they're 4 in the AP, 5 in the coaches, and 2 of the teams ahead of them are what, in the same, actually, you got 2 teams ahead of you in the coaches that are both in the same conference. And so I think that that's a good question. Any key players on their team? I'll get to that one in a minute. I think that there's a perception that Florida State is back, and I think that FSU could probably play like a D or D plus game and still win this game by like 20-ish. I think that they could probably play a C game and win this game by 30. But I just don't think that that's what anyone wants to see. I don't think you want to see your team take a step back after reestablishing themselves as back in college football. Florida State has an opportunity to go out and just absolutely obliterate Southern Miss, who is not a bad program by any means. Yeah, like I'm certainly not talking trash about them. They were Miami wasn't good last year, but they were in a dogfight with Miami last year. They had a lead with 20 seconds to go in the first half. But you could play bad, and you could have Jordan Travis playing into the fourth quarter, and you could have Keon Coleman playing into the fourth quarter, and you could have Trey Benson and Jared Verse playing into the fourth quarter, and you could still win this thing by 20 easily. But I'd much rather go into the half up 38-0 or 38-3, and then let the backups play the rest of the day. And then if they outscore you 10-7 or 17-10 or something like that with your backups in because they leave their start, whatever. I still think your backups are going to have a ton of success against them. But I don't. First of all, I don't want to see this team take a foot off the pedal. It's really easy to get up for LSU. It's not so easy to get up for Southern Miss. I like that it's a night game. I like that Doak will be loud. I like that the student section is sold out. I think there's a lot of poison, right? A lot of positives. I just read Shane's comment. Sheesh. I think there's a lot of positives for this, but your mindset's got to be there, and you cannot take a step back from last weekend. If you do, you play longer into games, you play more snaps, that's more chances for injury, that's more chances for something to go wrong, that's more hope that you're giving a team that you're way better than. You have to be better. Hey, Shane's the only one showing love today, so shout out Shane.
You a recruit and you ain't going to Florida State, what you doing?
Rat poison. A certain Alabama coach would say that. Go out and do to them what Louisville did to Murray State last night. I'm telling you, Louisville looked good, and that's what you do to a team that you're way better than. Florida State's a 31-point favorite. And again, I don't care if they go up 38-0 and the game's over at halftime and all the starters come out and then they score a couple of garbage times. Like, that doesn't bother me. I don't care. I don't care if we cover the spread or not. Like, that truly means nothing to me. If we score on all, that would be 6 of our first half drives, that's all. Whatever. I will not care at all what happens in the second half. I mean, honestly, I won't. We don't cover the spread. I don't care. That's why I don't bet big spreads. Because we go into the half 38-0 and they outscore us 70-10 and cover the spread, then you lose your bet. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, it would if I bet on it. I'm too broke to show love. Hotel room in Tallahassee for 2 nights. My goodness. Yeah, you're poor. I feel bad about that. Eric asked about key players. Their quarterback looked pretty good. He went 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. Billy Wiles is a sophomore. 21 on 28 passing. He did have a pick. Again, 3 touchdowns. They ran for about 150 yards. They were playing a really bad team in Alcorn State, but they did about what Vegas thought they would. I think they were a 24-point favorite. They won by 26, so Vegas had them rated, fairly properly. But yeah, I mean, I think their quarterback's fairly accurate, but again, he was playing against a pretty bad team. When I watched the highlights, he looked like he was pretty on top of it, but guys were pretty wide open. I don't think he had to be phenomenal by any means. I don't know that they have a ton of guys that stand out. Like they've got a Jared Verse hidden somewhere on the roster like Albany did. I think they're a good, solid program. I really like their coach. Will Hall was giving Florida State a lot of love, saying that they're better than Bama's 21 title team. That's rat poison if I've ever heard it. So, yeah, I think they'll play incredibly hard. I think they'll be really, really, as physical as they can be. And again, Florida State should just do anything and everything they want with them. Jennifer Williams.
Put a smile on your face. Okay? Because Florida State, if we going to do it then, we do it big then. Let's go, baby.
Can't wait for the Clemson tailgate. I love hearing Jameis.
Okay? Because Florida State, if we going to do it then, we do it big then. Let's go, baby.
Can't wait for the Clemson tailgate. So excited for this one. Listen, if you're not coming to Clemson, you need to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to have a lot of fun. We're gonna do a lot of fun. I'm gonna do a lot of fun things in Clemson. Greenville. It's gonna be a good weekend, and we're gonna have a good time at the tailgate. We're gonna have a good time at the game. I'm telling you, you guys need to find a way to get there. We had such a blast in Orlando. Some of you, I'm thinking about some of you specifically that weren't there that I wish would have been there, but don't let that happen If you missed Orlando, don't miss Clemson. Erica, I thought you guys were coming. Why are you guys skipping? Whatever responsibilities you have, just don't do it. Tell Jacob to be there with the Jaeger in pull. Listen, if you take your own Jaeger to a tailgate, you might have a problem. I felt like Jeff Foxworthy saying that. You might be a redneck. It sounded like kind of like a you might be a redneck thing. But if you're taking your own Jaeger to a tailgate, I think there's some questions that need to be answered. There's some stuff that needs to happen and some conversations that need to go on. So anyway, all right. What else with the Jaeger? And these people forced me to drink. Well, don't worry about it. Forced is what I would call it. All right. What else are we talking about? Quick thoughts on Southern Miss. We talked about the stadium. Some recruiting? Do you want recruiting or not really? Y'all are over that? I don't know what you guys really want. Yeah, did we tell you we Ubered in town to get a second bottle? Yeah, y'all are nuts. Okay. Yeah, let's do some recruiting. We'll stay on here for about 5 more minutes and we'll get out of here. Shorter episode today. Appreciate you guys for the love. Appreciate you guys for hanging out as always. Oh, let's give Gramco some love. TheGramco.com. Make sure you're using TJ25. I got a friend I need to get some Gramco to. I'm going to do that as soon as we're off of here, just to let you guys know. I always keep my promises, so I promised I would get a friend some Gramco. TJ25, gummies, vapes, pre-rolls, whatever you're looking for, Delta 8. They've got some Delta 9 as well that you should go check out. That's my favorite picture that's on the screen right there. It is the picture of me holding up a gummy inside of Doak Gamble Stadium with the very, very impressive, what do you call it, portrait mode on, blurred out the background and everything. I can't believe that I even understood how to take that picture at that time. But TJ25, thegramco.com, best Delta 8 on the market. Go check them out. Founded by Knowles. They're vet owned. So you are, and a portion of things go back to help our vet. A portion of proceeds go back to, they do a lot with our vets. They do a lot with mental health. They do a lot to help people. So great organization. Go check them out. Recruiting-wise, people coming to town. Okay, so I do think there are visitors coming to town. I saw reports that KJ was coming. I actually texted the Chromid Hawks to see what their schedule looked like. I think Florida State will have some people showing up. I think a night game in Doak is a great opportunity to do it. I think that getting kids to come back and be part of what's going on is great. It's a fun place to be. It's an exciting place to be. The kids don't care about Wi-Fi. The kids don't care about scrolling their phones. They're going to enjoy. All right, I said I would stop. They're going to go enjoy the atmosphere and the environment, and it's going to be a lot of fun. As far as visitors, as far as who's coming, I think if KJ shows up, that's big. Everybody wants to say that, he just committed to FSU, but he's not really locked in. I don't think that's the case. Now, I think UGA will push. I think that Auburn will push. I think others will try to get back in, but that's over. That's done. Hopefully this doesn't get old takes exposed, but I almost consider that one like Lester. I think that's a done deal. I think that's happening. I think that it'll be really interesting to see what happens where other guys visit. Hey, are you keeping... Okay. I love Luke, by the way. I love Crum and Hawk. He is so impressive. He's so sharp. His family is so... really one of my favorite recruits ever. And I know we go crazy about the 5 stars and we go crazy about the highly rated, but I love Crum and Hawk. I think that he's really phenomenal. Not only as a player, top 3 quarterback in the country, but just really as a person. When we had him on and we were talking and stuff beforehand, he kept saying, yes, sir. And I was like, dude, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but you really don't have to do that. And he's like, yeah, but if I don't, then my parents will smack me. I was like, all right, then you can say that. No worries. But I only make my kids and a couple other people say, yes, sir. So that's just very rare. Getting recruits to show up, though, for a game like this, a game against Southern Miss where you're favored by 31, man, what a tool that they have right now to really continue the momentum from this last weekend, to continue what's going on from LSU. I think it's going to be pretty special to see. And this won't even be a big weekend. I think this is a pretty subdued recruiting weekend. I think just wait to see what happens for that Duke game. LJ McCray coming. That's a big one. I saw he's going to be at Miami this weekend. Hopefully A&M beats their heads in. But, yeah, I think that it's not a massive weekend. I don't have, I think there'll be some 25 kids there. I don't have anybody on like commit watch or anything this weekend. Nothing crazy happening. I think a lot of them are going to be later in the year, but it will be exciting nonetheless. Okay, some of the most fun games from this weekend upcoming. What are you guys excited to see this weekend? Because I think there's one elite game in each time slot, and that doesn't count our game because I care about our game more than anything else that'll happen on Saturday. Mostly just so I can scroll on my phone during the game, but all right, I got to quit. Is Canada in here? Texas, Alabama, that's the night game that I want to see. Obviously going up against our game, so that kind of stinks, but I mean, you just got to have a couple of TVs. It is what it is. Colorado, Nebraska. I mean, I know how we feel about Dion. I know. But you can't tell me you didn't watch that game and not be excited. Like, you might have been pissed that he won, but that game was, I think it was the second best game of the week. I think ours was the best, and that was the second best game. I'm excited to see them play Nebraska. I think that the Colorado home environment, experience, atmosphere, I mean, it was insane for the spring game, guys. I think that Colorado game is going to be a ton of fun. All right, I don't know if this comment is PG or not, but we're going to read it anyway because it's 1 o'clock and who cares. I'm excited for a hold to form. When I read I'm excited for a hold, I was like, excuse me? But we can read this. Oh, I hit the wrong one. We can read this. Harlan, can you play it? Are you still here? Harlan might have to go.
Fire up the war chant and plant the spear. Nose wind, nose wind.
Did anybody else's mind go to the gutter when you said I'm excited for a hole? Like, I can't be the only one that was like, excuse me? Excited for a hole to form and absorb both Miami and A&M. Yeah, that's the 3:30 game I want to see. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. Yeah, I mean, I would be fine if that happened. But I mean, I don't like Jimbo at all. And I was really hoping they would just lose last weekend. But they got to beat Miami. I can't have Miami thinking they're beating a good team. That just can't. Animal House vibes, 100%. 100%. Some real animals in here. I forget who Chris is. Is Chris Drew? Remember, is Chris Drew? We made him change his name so that one guy would give me $500. That was the best day. Or was it $100? Was it $500? I don't remember. Big Animal House vibes. Noon, Colorado, 3:30. Miami A&M. I like that that's at 3:30, by the way. I think Miami plays a lot of times better at night. I like that that's a 3:30 game. And then the Texas Alabama at the late game, obviously running up against ours. Couple games tonight, not excited for either one of them. I guess Illinois, Kansas could be okay. Couple other games that I'm kind of just keeping a slight eye on. Notre Dame at NC State is one that I think is really interesting to see. Notre Dame only a touchdown favorite on the road. I think that's one to kind of keep an eye on just to kind of see how they look. Purdue versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech I don't think is good, but we play them coming up soon. I think that's an interesting game to kind of keep an eye on. Ole Miss and Tulane. Listen, I think Ole Miss wins that game, but that is in New Orleans. That is at Tulane. Love to see the SEC get knocked off early. Always a big fan of that. You beat Ole Miss there, you get them unranked, and then they don't prop up everybody else's schedule when Alabama and LSU and all these teams beat them. So I think that's a fun one to watch. We talked, UNC Appalachian State. That's one that I think you could have some fun with, kind of at an off time, 5:15. SMU Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a big favorite there, but I think that could be one. Our newest ACC ads. And then you have Texas, Alabama at 7. But right before that, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh is a sneaky good game. I think when you look at our schedule, we have the game against Clemson. You've got the rivals there, and you know that rivalry games are always tough. And then you've got Pittsburgh. Like, that's the game. I mean, Duke a little bit, but then you got Pittsburgh, and that's the game that people are looking out for. So I'm excited to see Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. I think that's an interesting one. I think that's one. Pittsburgh's going to be a different team 9 games after it, but Emory Jones threw for almost 350 yards last week for Cincinnati. I think that's one that could be a ton of fun. It's at 6:30. So I like the time of that. I like the fact that there's going to be a lot of games ending right then. Usually there's a little bit of a window. I like that that's at 6:30. Alabama, Texas, obviously 7 o'clock. And then we are 8:30. I'll tell you one other one, just because I like to talk smack, is UCF and Boise State. UCF's a 3-point favorite on the road at Boise State. I wouldn't be upset at all with seeing UCF drop that. Florida, McNeese, I want to believe that they could somehow lose to them. I just don't think it's possible. So I wish it was possible. Just don't think it's going to happen. And then a really late one. After our game's over, I will probably finish the night watching Auburn Cal and Oklahoma State, Arizona State. I want to see, I'm a big fan of seeing the SEC lose. So I'd love to see Cal win. And I'd love to see my guy Kenny win. They're a 3-point dog at home against Oklahoma State. If my guy Kenny could win that game, Jaden Rashada had 250 yards nearly last week, 2 touchdowns. That would be a lot of fun to see Kenny win that one. So, all right, I don't have a ton else. That's really all I got for the day. We ran through the comments. We ran through the super chat. I don't think anybody else sent anything. Again, Jennifer with the one comment really took me for a loop. I thought we were getting real X-rated on this show real quick, but we didn't. We just talked about people dying. We didn't talk about anything inappropriate. So, all right. Hey, I love you guys. I appreciate you for tuning in. We posted a lot of content this week. If you haven't already, go check it out. We did a recruiting update with a bunch of Jeremiah Smith talk. We did a video of everybody eating crow from before the game when they were all predicting LSU to win. We did an update on the Clemson matchup and how Dabo refuses to use the portal. We did a ton this week. Go check that out. Make sure that you're subscribed. We will probably not do any content tomorrow. We'll probably just save a recap for Sunday. I think instant reactions when you win by 40 are not really that important. I think we will probably save it for Sunday. Maybe we'll have something coming out Sunday. I'll keep you updated, but appreciate you guys for hanging out. Hey, make sure you get your Clemson tailgate tickets. I'll make sure that link is in the description. Clemson tailgate tickets. Space is limited. They are moving quickly. We had 700 people out there in Orlando. We have space for about 1/7 of that, right at 100 people. So if you don't have your tickets, you're going to be in trouble. And I can't sneak people in like I could at Orlando. So space is truly limited up there. Clemson sucks about that. So if you want to party with us before we go watch us beat the Tigers, let's go do it. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Go Noles.